Ryan Day's extension changes the game for Ohio State.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Feel Good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. During today's show, we'll dive into how Ryan Day's extension boosts Buckeye recruiting. But first, Ryan Day's extension changes the game for Ohio State, and Ross Bjork's ability to lock up Ryan Day through the 2031 season and also pay him $87.5 million is a wise decision. You're getting a great coach for 3 more years past his current contract, and also showing the appreciation that you have for Ryan Day while he's been the head man of the football program. Ryan Day in his 6 years at Ohio State is 70-10. He has an 87.5% winning percentage. He is one of 3 active coaches to have won a national championship. He is one of 5 Ohio State football coaches to win a national championship. That's such an exclusive group that it's even tough for some people to even think about getting that. Ryan Day's there. In his first job in college football of being a head coach, he's there right now. And the way that Ryan Day has kept this ship moving and kept this ship stable and allowed Ohio State to stay in contention every single year to win a national championship, I think all of that is stuff Ross Bjork saw before Ross Bjork's first day on the job. Even when Ross Bjork was down there at Texas A&M, he heard about Ohio State. He knew about this Ryan Day guy, and he's probably tapping in saying, the job's coming open. Who's leading the football program? Who's the man trying to make sure that Ohio State's football program is at the top of the sport? Oh, Ryan Day? I like what he stands for. I like him. He's a family man. He's very loyal. There are a lot of qualities about Ryan Day that I think link him and Ross Bjork together. And then when Ross Bjork got to Ohio State and got a little bit closer to Ryan Day, and Ryan Day and Ross Bjork spent time together and probably had a couple drinks together, they realized, man, we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. This is kind of like the perfect marriage between AD and football coach. And then all of a sudden, Ross Bjork gets here, and yeah, some things don't go Ohio State's way, but Ross Bjork sees the big picture. He sees, looking forward, what can we do to help Ryan Day out? Give him a massive payday. Now, the interesting thing about this massive payday is that Ross Bjork and Ryan Day's agent were talking about a contract extension at the end of the regular season, towards the end of the regular season, before the Michigan loss. And I think that just speaks to how much Ross Bjork trusts Ryan Day, and you should too. Everybody watching this or listening to this show today should trust Ryan Day. We have talked a lot since the offseason, about Ryan Day's ability to get hires right, and the Brian Hartline and Tyler Bowen and Billy Fessler and Knowles hires and the defensive coordinator hire, which I think is going to come very, very soon. We talked a lot about Ryan Day's to adapt and to change and learn from his mistakes early in his head coaching career at Ohio State, and he has done that. And Ross Bjork has seen the growth. He's seeing it right now, and I think moving forward, you have to lock up Ryan Day. He is now going to be the second highest paid coach in the sport, only behind Kirby Smart, who after the 2023 season signed a 10-year, $13.28 million per year contract. Had to get that out because I almost said it incorrectly. And Kirby Smart's one of those guys that's won multiple national championships. Ryan Day can do that. Ryan Day can win back-to-back national championships and to put himself in an even more exclusive group. Ryan Day has done a great job. And also, not only has Ryan Day done a great job, Ryan Day wants to be at Ohio State. We are a few weeks away from Jim Knowles going from Ohio State to Penn State, and that news breaking on the day that Ohio State celebrated the national championship win. And then Jim Knowles said some things during his introductory press conference that may have rubbed people the wrong way, that may have said, oh, maybe you're looking for the better job or a different job. But I don't know if there's a better job in the country than Ohio State. Do you have the financial backing of your AD? Absolutely. Of the school? Of course. Ted Carter and Ryan Day, they see eye to eye too. You're playing at one of the best venues in college football, really one of the best venues in the world. We think about Ohio Stadium and compared to other stadiums around the world. Ohio Stadium's up there as one of the best in the world. I think it's the best in the country. It's one of the best in the world. That's insane. But then you think about the fan base. Yeah, some people say it's a lunatic fringe. Some people say that Ohio State fans are crazy, a little fanatic, as you may want to say. Of course they are. That's what makes Ohio State football fans unique. And Ryan Day gets that. Ryan Day understands everything. And I mentioned the Jim Knowles thing on purpose because Ryan Day has repeatedly said how much he loves the Ohio community, how much he loves Buckeye Nation, how much he loves being the head football coach at Ohio State, and that he doesn't want to go anywhere. His family is in Columbus. His kids are in school. His family is growing. His family is stable. He doesn't want to go anywhere. And Ross Bjork wants someone at Ohio State that wants to be there. It's also very successful. Ryan Day has both of those. Ryan Day has earned every single penny. And I cannot wait until probably July or early August, maybe in June. I forget when the different publications go over their top college football coaches. And I normally go over the CBS Sports one here on the show and talk about Ryan Day, where he stands in the rankings and how he can move up in the rankings. I can't wait to see it. If anybody has Ryan Day outside of the top two, we might just make that a special segment here on the show and talk about it because I don't know if there's another coach in a sport. Really, if he's the first, I understand that too. I don't know if there's another coach in a sport that you will take over Ryan Day. I don't. Steve Sarkisian? No. Kirby Smart? Some may say yes. I still might lean Ryan Day. Who else is out there? Dabo Sweeney? Absolutely not. James Franklin? That's comical. I know we don't laugh and make jokes here on the show. Maybe I should, because James Franklin over Ryan Day, that ain't going to happen. Absolutely not. There's other coaches out there that are very successful, Marcus Freeman being one of them. I'm taking Ryan Day, man. Ryan Day is a successful coach. Ryan Day has learned a lot on the job in a place where you don't get on the job training. It's not supposed to be that kind of program. And Ryan Day has got that. And that job security piece for Ryan Day, he understands it and he needs it. His wife understands it. His wife wants it. Not just financial backing, being able to get $12.5 million per year, but it's that being locked up through 2031. And it wouldn't shock me if Ohio State won another natty between now and the end of Ryan Day's contract extension. It wouldn't shock me at all. It wouldn't shock me if Ryan Day turned into a coach that won the natty every 4 years. So guys, once they're recruited to Ohio State, they're saying, look, during my time at Ohio State, I'm going to win at least one national championship because that's the path that Ryan Day has Ohio State on. We can't go that far yet. We haven't seen it. There's 1-6. Will there be one to the next 4? It's possible. It's likely. But I don't know if it's actually going to happen. But it could because of the path Ryan Day is on, the lessons he's learned this year, and his ability to do what is needed to keep Ohio State at the top of the sport. While keeping Ohio State at the top of the sport, Ryan Day has provided a massive level of consistency, and he's kept the program stable in his first 6 years at Columbus, Ohio. And I think that's something Buckeye fans can expect moving forward. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded, PrizePicks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least 2 players' projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. PrizePicks even has a free pick for the big game, where Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw 1 yard to win. Pair that with one more correct pick, and you're cashing out. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Thank you all for tapping in Locked on Buckeyes here on this Feel Good Friday. And I hope everybody's feeling good about Ryan Day's extension. I don't really see a reason why anybody would be disgruntled or be upset, especially after Ryan Day just won the national championship. If you're someone that looks at this thing and says, oh, I don't like it. I don't want to keep Ryan Day. I know he just won the natty, but man, he need to get up out of town. Please, please, don't say that out loud. Keep that thought to yourself because things like that should not be said right now. This is also the cost of doing business, especially when there's a man in Ohio State that keeps Ohio State consistently at the top, not only of the Big Ten, but consistently being in contention and one of the best teams in the country. And it's mainly because Ryan Day has done a great job of adapting or dying. That's the main thought right now in college football. You either adapt to the changes in the sport or you die. Now, I'm not calling for the death penalty of any program out there, including Michigan, even though Michigan did some things that were bad cheating and they've admitted to blatantly cheating. I'm not calling for the death penalty. I don't do that. SMU back in the 80s, I felt weird about even hearing about that. I wasn't alive back then, but I'm thinking, man, the death penalty, man, that's bad, man. That's really, really bad. You sure you couldn't have had a harsh punishment for what they did? They chose a death penalty. Now they're back, and I'm glad. SMU football, it's a good thing to watch. Ohio State football, it's a whole lot better to watch. Why? Because Ryan Day continues to adapt. Ryan Day's ability to adapt to every single change is something I think other coaches in the sport could learn from. Ryan Day could have said, oh, man, these changes? Man, got the portal right now. We got NIL. Oh, we got the COVID, and now we got a dead period of recruiting. Oh, wait, all of a sudden, recruiting is open again in 2021. Yeah, you got JT Tuimoloau. That's great on 4th of July. Remember that day. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a huge win. But, man, there are so many changes. Now, all of a sudden, the schools are going to pay players, and then you got guys on your team making $2 or $3 million a year via NIL, and that could change the mindsets of players, and that could bring a whole lot of egos out of athletes. And there are so many things that we could talk about that are changing in college football that could push Ryan Day up out of here. No, not at all. Ryan Day continues to adapt, and his usage of the portal is one of the best things I think, at least in this offseason, that is a clear way that Ryan Day continues to adapt. A year ago, Ryan Day went out there and was able to get Julian Sand and Seth McLaughlin and Caleb Downs from Alabama. I think McLaughlin was going to come even if Saban didn't retire. Listen to an interview he did with Cole Kubalik, and based off things that McLaughlin said, it seemed like after that Rose Bowl and some things that were said about him and his address getting leaked on Twitter, it surely seemed like he was on his way out of Tuscaloosa instead of staying in there to play football in 2024. Not mad about it at all. Come to Ohio State. You're a great center, won the Remington Award. Hey, I'm not mad about that. But Ryan Day adapted, being able to go out there and get a Will Kazmarek and being able to get out there and get some other guys. It was great last year, but even this year, Ryan Day's keeping that same approach. I think there's still some needs that Ryan Day needs to get in the portal. There's another portal window opening. And when Ohio State was pushing through December, preparing for the playoffs, yeah, it may have stunted some of the things Ryan Day wanted to do in the portal as far as getting more numbers to fill more holes in the roster. But Ryan Day's not going to try to go out there and get 20, 25, or 30 guys just to get them. It's all about the quality of the athlete. And also realizing not everybody is meant to be here. There are talented players out there in college football all across the country. Look at Texas. Look at Alabama. Look at USC. Look at Oregon. Look at Washington. Look at Penn State. Look at fill-in-the-blank school. There are talented players all across the country. You could have a guy that's a number one player in the country that has crazy talent, but maybe doesn't have the mindset and the maturity to be an Ohio State Buckeye. And Ryan Day is the kind of coach that can look out there and tap into his resources and even talk to the player and be like, man, you ain't got it. What do you mean I ain't got it? Man, I got all the talent. Man, look at this. I got this 5-star here, and this place about to give me a 5-star, and all of a sudden I'm about to give me a on-3 plus type of player. And what do you mean I ain't got it? No. You got the talent, young man. You don't have what it takes to be a Buckeye. And that might be sound a little egotistical to people to say, you ain't got what it takes to be a Buckeye. Are you crazy? No, it's real. Being an Ohio State football player is not for the faint of heart. Being an Ohio State football coach isn't for the faint of heart. You're having to adapt to a lot, but also you're under a lot of pressure and a lot of scrutiny every single day because fans at Ohio State expect win after win after win after win after win. And fans like myself and fans like you, what do we expect? You need to continue for a national championship. Oh, yeah. Be the top of the conference and beat your rival. Those are expectations. The standard is the standard. And early on in Ryan Day's career, I think he understood that, but he has a better handle on it now. And Dabo Swinney, I'm going to compare Ryan Day to Dabo Swinney for a little bit because Dabo Swinney had a great run from 2015 to 2016 through 2019. 2019 lost the Natty to LSU. I forget when him and Alabama went through 4 straight national championship games, I think it was, or not, maybe not 4 straight. They battled in the playoff 4 years in a row. I forget the exact run that he went on, but it was kind of wild to see Clemson, Alabama, Clemson, Alabama, Clemson, Alabama. And once Clemson got off of that run, even after the 2019 season, what did you find? Dabo Swinney didn't truly adapt to what's going on in college football. He was very open about why Clemson used the portal in the way that they did. And I don't knock him. Like, I get the stubbornness. I get the desire to stay in your own way, to stay in your lane and not try to hop to a new lane, which may have massive benefit for you. I understand Dabo Swinney's desire to not change. Change is hard, man. People don't like change. Remember when I was a kid, my parents moved to a new house in the suburbs. No, almost the suburbs. But man, the house was nice, bigger yard. Whole thing was better. I was a stubborn kid, man. I didn't want to change. And Dabo Swinney was the same way. I say was because he's changed a little bit since then, but he didn't want to change. And if Ryan Day had that same mindset as the NIL came in, as the portal was introduced, as different aspects were changing in the sport, if Ryan Day had the ability, the desire to stay in his own way and stay in his lane and not change for anything, Ohio State would not be in the place they currently are. Ryan Day's wouldn't have the same winning percentage. You wouldn't have 70 wins in his first 80 games that he's coached. You wouldn't have those things. But Ryan Day continues to adapt and to change. Ross Bjork, too. Let me get right back to Ross Bjork here because I think Ryan Day and Ross Bjork are on the same page about a couple things. And some of you may have said, maybe thinking, I didn't say this earlier, how in the world is Ohio State going to pay Ryan Day all that money? Well, his current contract, he was getting paid a little over $10 million a year. So financially paying him $2.5 million more per year, that's a massive benefit because we are not the people that are millionaire. I am not. Trust me, I'm not going to lie to you. I am not a millionaire. But Ross Bjork's going to do some things over the next year, 2 years, 3 years to bring more money to Ohio State. This is outside the collectives and things he's doing with the players. He talked about selling the naming rights to Ohio Stadium. And I think he's going to do some more things to try to get more sponsors to be a part of the football program to bring in more dollars and cents to Ohio State. So maybe some of that will go to Ryan Day, some of it won't. But Ross Bjork's thinking forward. How can we change? How can we better ourselves? How can we make more money while also allowing job security and program stability for Ryan Day at the same time? It's a win-win for Ohio State. It's a win for Ryan Day. It's a win for the football players. It's also a win in recruiting. And I'll tell you about that massive boost for the Buckeyes on the recruiting trail next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, 2 teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl Yo, that's the icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. One thing when it comes to Ryan Day's extension that I don't want to gloss over is his ability to maintain Ohio State's level of recruiting after taking over for Urban Meyer, and then to think about that impact moving forward. Ohio State is consistently in the top 5 in the recruiting class every single year. I think they're number 5 right now. They're 247 Sports. And if you're in the top 5, you're doing a lot of things right. If you're in the top 10, you're doing a lot of things right. And when you have Ryan Day's ability to figure out the recruiting thing early as a head coach, not as a position coach or a coordinator, but as a head coach, when your hand is on the D line and on the quarterbacks and the receivers and a linebacker over here in Cali and a safety over here in Jersey, and you're still recruiting your own backyard. Ryan Day has figured a lot of things out, and Ohio State is consistently having one of the best recruiting classes in the country, and locking Ryan Day up through 2031 is only going to make that recruiting even better moving forward. Because I think there are certain things Ryan Day not only has learned about coaching on a Saturday afternoon in the fall, but also about recruiting in a January or February or in August that I think moving forward is going to be a huge benefit. But I went back and actually, I saw it's coming across on Instagram. 247 Sports put a graphic up of the top 10 all-time commits via the 247 Sports composite ranking. One thing to keep in mind, this is not to say negative things about Ryan Day. 247 Sports, I believe, started ranking recruits in the mid-2000s. I believe Rivals, I know Rivals was older than 247 Sports because Rivals and 247 Sports were started by the same guy, Shane and Terry. Rivals first, and then 247 Sports. And so this isn't going back to the 80s and 70s, but it does give you a great snapshot about how great Buckeye recruiting has been during the 247 Sports era. The top 10 all-time commits, of them, I believe 7 of them have been recruited by Ryan Day. That's insane. Number 1's Quinn Ewers in 2021. That cycle, 2024 cycle, Jeremiah Smith. JT Tuimoloau, 2021 class. Jack Sawyer, the class of 2021. Julian Fleming, the class of 2020. Chris Henry Jr., class of 2026. Not even here yet. He's already a top 10 all-time commit for Ohio State. And then Tavian St. Clair, the current cycle in the class of 2025. Think about how wild that is. And the top 10 players to commit to Ohio State all time. They have that many guys that were recruited by Ryan Day and signed while Ryan Day was the head coach. That is insane. Now, one, it can't sign yet. It's Chris Henry Jr. Can't even take an official visit yet. So can't put that in the signing category yet. But that's just insane, man. People knock Ryan Day for so much. You can't knock him for his recruiting and locking him up through 2031. It wouldn't shock me if we saw this same list in about 5 years, even before this current contract is up. And it's full of Ryan Day guys, top 10 here. It's all guys that were recruited by Ryan Day. That's insane. This goes over periods when Jim Tressel was the head coach and when Urban Meyer was the head coach. Just to put it more in perspective, some guys that were not recruited by Ryan Day that played at Ohio State: Terrell Pryor, class of 2008, Ted Ginn Jr., class of 2004, and then that's it. So it is 8. That is wild. No, excuse me. It was 7. Noah Spence, class of 2012, was number 8 on this list. Excuse me, but it's insane, man. Recruiting is so important in not just college football, any sport, even scouting. If you want to take it to the professional ranks, you're recruiting a little bit, not the same way though. Free agency is held differently than the recruiting process, but still, you are doing so many things on a regular basis. And this goes back to the adapt or die thing. Ryan Day can see all of the things that's changing and talk about how things need to be enforced by the NCAA. And he can see some things that frustrate him, and he can see things changing quicker than maybe he wants them to, which I think they are changing quicker than he wants them to. And he can just say, man, I don't care how good I can recruit. Man, I ain't putting the work in. Man, I don't want to go to California. Man, we just won the Natty. I want to make that phone call. We about to celebrate this national championship win. Man, I ain't trying to talk to that person's mama. I am trying to spend some time with my family. Ryan Day could be that kind of coach and saying, man, I know this is what they say I got to do to stay at the top of the sport. Man, I got so many other interests. I want to be able to spend some time with my wife and have a meal with my wife every day of the week, not just Monday through Friday, 7 days. Man, there's so many things pulling Ryan Day left or to the right. But Ryan Day says, hey, I got to do certain things to stay where I currently am and to go to another level. And I think when he talks about going to another level, if Ohio State finds a way to go to another level in recruiting and expand their footprint like they already have over the past couple of years, getting further and further south. I ain't talking about Texas and Oklahoma. I'm talking about Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, Mississippi, them schools down there, them states down there where they got them dudes. There's a reason why the Southeastern Conference has the players that they are, because the southern portion of the country is full of elite football talent. Really, basketball elite talent, baseball elite talent. It's a reason why Vanderbilt and Florida and Tennessee, some of these schools down there in the South and Texas always have elite baseball teams and elite softball teams because the talent down there is just stupid rich, man. He's not rich as far as financial rich. I mean, rich as far as talent. It's insane. And Ryan Day's like, oh, okay, Saban's gone. Kalen DeBoer's new. You definitely know the people down there doesn't have the connections. Oh, okay. We can go down there, get a Zion Grady, get an Edric Houston. Oh, okay. We can go down there and, oh, you want Caleb Downs? Cool. No, we'll get him too. No, man. Ryan, his ability to adapt and to keep this thing at a level that other coaches would love to keep it at, but they can't. It's going to be scary for people in the Big Ten, man. I know a lot of teams out there love to see Ohio State lose. I know a lot of coaches out there saying, man, Ohio State ain't won the Big Ten title since 2020. Are they going to do it again? Are they going to keep losing to Michigan? Just let me tell you, Ryan, they got to beat Michigan. And as confident as we were this past year, they was going to beat that trash team, which they didn't do. There's more pressure for Ryan to do it in 2025, especially on the road. But think about how sweet and how dope it'll be for Ohio State to walk into the big house, 110,000 strong. They're on that Saturday after Thanksgiving. If Ryan Day rolls up in there and says, I know what's happened the past 4 years. We can't dodge that. I got a monkey off my back last year, but waiting for the Natty. There's one more monkey on my back, and it's these pesky Wolverines. And all of a sudden, he rolls in there, and he has his suit. He has his look. He has that walk. He has that talk. And let's just say we're able to get a little preview of what Ryan Day is going to say there in the locker room. Look them boys in the eye, and I ain't going to try to do word for word Ryan Day because there are things Ryan Day says in their locker room we are not going to say on this show. But Ryan Day's going to look at them boys and just look at them. Look at the fire in their eye. The desire to go out there and rip that Wolverine helmet off. The desire to go out there and show everybody in the country, we know what's happened the past 4 years, but this is a new year. This is a new day, and we're here to change things and to turn the page to Ohio State gets on top of this rivalry and gets that win back and gets those gold pants distributed out to the players. And Ryan Day is going to sit there, look at everybody. It could be one of those games where he talks a lot before the game. But, sometimes there's these big games and coaches realize I ain't got to say nothing. I could walk in there and say a couple words and say, let's go. Them boys are going to be ready to run through a brick wall. It's just one of them days. And I think Ryan Day is going to have them boys ready. I ain't ready to say who's going to win the game. I wasn't really confident last year going into the game. But I said, no, I think Ohio State should do it. We know what happened. But the way Ryan Day has adapted, the way Ryan Day has changed, the way Ryan Day has made hires, the way that Ryan Day even worked this year with the injuries in some key areas at Ohio State, it showed growth. And I think things are going to be fine for the Buckeyes on November 29th. I can't say yes, can't say no, but there's a thought in my head that Ohio State will get them this year because of the man leading them, because of the man leading the charge. If he could put that run together in the playoff, in the first ever 12-team playoff, and they planned before the season to go on a run like this and to save the bodies of the players for a run like that, What makes you think Ryan Day can't figure things out November 29th? He's taking accountability for things that have happened. He has realized that he's messed up, and he's told the players that. There's so many things Ryan Day's gotten right, so many things Ryan Day's gotten wrong. But one thing I think we can all count on November 29th, that we will see a different Buckeye team that we have seen against Michigan the past 4 years. When I say different, I mean playoff different, not regular season different. There is a big difference. Thank y'all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes right here on this Feel Good Friday. There will be a show tomorrow morning in your feed. The crossover I had with Brian Smith, who's a new host of The Portal. It's a daily college recruiting show that he's hosting here for the Locked On Podcast Network. We did a portion right after Brian Hartline was promoted to offensive coordinator. We talk about Brian Hartline's promotion, talk about the impact that will have on recruiting, and a whole lot more that'll be on your feed on YouTube and on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your fine podcast tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Thank you all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Friday. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. For those of you waiting to tap into some more player predictions and player projections, trust me, it's coming at you next week. Little D-line talk, little linebacker talk, little tight end being thrown at you too. We'll dive into more of those next week right here on Locked On Buckeyes.